But believe you me, it's a crisis. And what I am happy about is that all the countries represented here are actually moving forward to take whatever steps they need to take to meet this crisis. The circumstances are different, so the steps and the scale would be different. Yeah, every country has different circumstances, but the steps and the scale would be different. We recognize that. The need for action is manifest. The trend towards reaping profits as fast as possible, has been going on for some time. Now, this has pushed up the prices of fossil fuel sources of energy to such an extent that for many countries, especially at the margins, it's become very difficult. And that's what we see on our television screens today. In this crisis, the price of coal went up to about $150 a ton. $150 a ton. Now, that's much more expensive than renewable plus storage. So it makes it just by one step made renewable plus storage, which is round-the-clock renewable, viable. And once you have round-the-clock renewable, that means renewable with storage viable, then that's the end of the story for fossil fuels. So that's the stage at which we are at. And we have the biggest we are the biggest market in renewables for the past 4 or 5 years. We have been the biggest market in the world for renewables. And we have also emerged as the most attractive market for investment in renewables. So every bid is hotly contested. Every major fund in the world is invested in our country through in the renewable energy field.
But the events of the last 9 months, I think, are forcing us to think more deeply about energy transition, because I think an amnesia about energy security had settled over the world, and that amnesia has now been ended by an energy shock. Because the energy crisis, as the minister said, did not start on February 24th when Russia invaded Ukraine. It began about a half year earlier with shortages of coal, then natural gas, and then oil. One is the importance of stability of supply. We don't have large-scale battery storage yet. It needs to be balanced. We see in parts of the United States where you've seen instability in electricity, in California, blackouts, brownouts, rolling brownouts in California. And it's because over-reliance on renewables without the stabilizing factor of the other things that you need, like natural gas. Indeed, California was about to shut down its last nuclear power plant. It's now considering maybe it shouldn't do that. That would make their situation more difficult. Yes, the cost of renewables has come down enormously. In my previous book, The Quest, I really delved deeply into the history, the modern history of wind and solar. And for the first 40 years, they were not economic. Now, of course, they're economic. Costs have gone down dramatically. Scale has gone up.
We will be off of Russian coal in a few weeks. 1st of August, complete sanction, zero volume of coal from Russia. It used to be 40% of our coal mix. Oil used to be 40% of our oil mix, will be zero on the 31st of December 22. Renewables are now officially declared in the preeminent public interest of the Federal Republic of Germany and in our public security interest. What does that mean? Massive acceleration of planning times. We no longer have to take into account every bird that may cross the pathway of a wind farm. One of our biggest fear, of course, as an export-oriented nation, is that the differences in approach to reach carbon neutrality will engender new trade conflicts. The risk that we will CBAM each other into new trade hostility due to the different approaches to carbon neutrality is a real one. And we have proposed the idea that was endorsed by the G7 of a climate club to make this effort of climate neutrality by the middle of the century a cooperative one. This is not a G7 only exclusive club. This is an open club where we want to invite any country that is willing to share the goals of climate neutrality by 2050 and embark on this journey towards a more ambitious pathway together in an open and inclusive way.